Good evening and thank you for joining us. On any given night in America, more than 500,000 people will be homeless. Tending to some of these vulnerable neighbors is Firehouse 9 in Los Angeles. And tonight, a rare and visceral look with the heroes of Skid Row. Here's ABC's Matt Gutman.
Vámonos. Pedro in 6.
My personal mission is the same. I just want to help people.
Got it. Yeah. I think it's always pretty clear now.
In the shadow of downtown LA, paramedic Scott Lazar pumps Narcan into his latest overdose patient.
I don't want it. It's dead too much.
The chaos at Skid Row playing out all around him.
Watch out with that. I don't think he's going to want that back. No.
A 16-year veteran, Lazar and his partner Mike Contreras are used to mornings like this. Too often, the same person, sometimes on the same day.
Hey, let's get this sweatshirt off.
Hey, Scott, you tended to him yesterday. What was yesterday?
Same thing.
Overdose?
Deja vu. Yeah.
There are nearly 500,000 homeless people nationwide, many of the unsheltered living here in California.
Look at Los Angeles with the tents and the horrible, horrible, disgusting conditions.
A national outcry shining a spotlight on a city in crisis. Amidst the high-rises in Hollywood, about 60,000 people live on the streets of LA County.
It is not hard to find examples of the homeless problem.
Infectious diseases that killed people back in the Middle Ages are affecting homeless populations.
Firefighters say the fire started here on 20th Street and it was initially sparked by some homeless people.
Fears over disease and public safety clashing with the realities of mental illness, addiction, and the cycle of poverty. California's governor proposing a nearly $1 billion housing plan as debate here rages over long-term solutions.
This issue is a crisis. It's a state of emergency. People are dying on the streets and sidewalks. There's no compassion.
Fire Station 9 is the busiest fire station in the entire country, and the area it services is Skid Row. Thousands of people living on the streets. This fire station does over 30,000 calls every single year.
We embedded at this station over a period of 5 months, getting a rare look at the day-to-day operations of this team and a crash course in daily life for the city's most vulnerable. Station 9 averages about 80 calls a day. Many of the roughly 6,000 people who live here on Skid Row rely on them as their primary healthcare provider.
What's wrong today? Are you got that? No, you got it. You got that? Why don't I check your blood sugar?
Lazar and Contreras are members of the so-called fast response vehicles, whose job it is to dart ahead of fire engines to assess the situation and gauge the resources needed.
It's a temporary fix at best. So we just try and mitigate. I mean, really, that's all it is.
These guys have a lot of pride in what they do, and they're very proud of their station, and we're proud to be able to help support them.
LA Fire Department's medical director, Mark Eckstein, says the intensity of what Station 9 members experience is unique.
They're exposed to communicable diseases, they're exposed to needles, violent crime, and they're literally running nonstop.
And yet some, like Tostados, keep coming back. This is his 11th year here and his second tour of duty.
You have to want to be here because to see what's going on here, feces and throw up and, needles and overdoses and death.
Over the months visiting the station, we saw our fair share of misery, but
We got carpeting in there.
Yes,
also glimmers of hope.
This was hanging over the front of my tent here.
Like meeting this man who calls himself Mango. He's become a de facto aide to the firefighters here.
He helps us out a lot. He gets traffic for us, and I know people, the cars that come in, they're like, who's this guy?
He gives us a tour of his neighborhood, where he's often treated like the mayor.
Hi, how you doing, sweetie?
What are you doing? Saving lives?
Saving lives like we always do at Station 9.
It's there that we see that disabled woman struggling on the sidewalk.
Are you okay, honey? You just cover yourselves up like that and you'll be all right, all right?
Someone ran over your foot?
Yeah,
They
you
broke
broke
your
your foot? It's okay. It's okay. These people out here need to be in shelter.
No.
No? What was it?
No.
Dorms?
Yeah.
You want dorms?
Dorms. Say some dorms. Because when it rains, for people like this here. Yeah, right. Carolyn, listen, we're going to go, okay, honey? But I'm going to come back and check up on you.
Moments later, Tostado heading out on another call.
Oh, she's fighting the firefighters.
A woman fighting paramedics. The firefighters work to subdue her and assess the situation, binding her hands with cuffs borrowed from a security guard.
How often do you think in your 10 years here you've seen something like that?
Oh, so I can't even put a number on it.
It's like a daily, weekly?
Yeah, probably weekly. And it's not their fault. A lot of times it's a psych issue or they're doing drugs and, and this is the effect of the drug.
That woman was on her way to the emergency room, but that's just the problem, says the LAFD's X team.
Having paramedics roll on someone who's hearing voices, who endorses suicidal ideation, take them to an ER with no mental health professionals, how does that help?
They're just going to wind right back here.
Yep.
They're clear.
Unlike police officers, paramedics can only transfer patients to the ER instead of mental health facilities or sober houses that might be more appropriate for a specific case. LA Fire Department Chief Raf Terrazas says one of the problems is regulatory.
A paramedic can't take a patient to a mental facility, a psychological facility.
Cannot, because it's not compliant with county protocol.
And that, he says, is what's causing the backlog at hospitals and sapping the city's budget. Terrazas says he and LA's Mayor Eric Garcetti are now lobbying the state to make those changes. It's been described that each homeless person is like a lock with its own unique key. There isn't a single solution that works for all of them. And it's something the firefighters know implicitly.
You hope maybe, just maybe, they go to the hospital for the 5th time, the 12th time. Maybe, just maybe, they'll find the right locksmith there.
Hold on. We're brothers. We eat together. Best friends.
The crew here at Station 9 notches wins every day. As they say, treating each individual without bias, because their patients are human beings. And this is the job.
Imagine treating someone who's covered in dirt, human waste. They respond on these types of people with these problems every day, and they treat them with the same level of respect as a CEO working at a high-rise 2 blocks from here. And that is quite noble and quite admirable, and they do it day in, day out.
For Nightline, I'm Matt Gutman in Los Angeles.